Hello, Emil. Good morning.
Hi, Andrea. Welcome back from your holidays. I just came to work 3 minutes ago.
Can you hear me?
I was at the hospital with my son on a X-ray, so I'm not prepared for this meeting today. That's why you created the agenda. Or? Do you hear me? No, you don't hear me. Ah.
Yeah, you can hear me. Okay. I cannot hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Let me see.
If
Now?
I put something
For now?
on.
No? Let me. So now, do you hear me now? No?
Okay. Could you try again?
So what about now? Do you hear me now?
Yeah. Yes. I think
Oh, I
my
don't hear you.
phone.
Or
You don't hear me now.
so strange. Oh, wait.
Hello.
You hear me now?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
I don't
No.
hear you.
Oh.
Let's see. I choose these instead. There then.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now here. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Hello.
I don't know. Yeah. So welcome back from your vacations.
Thank you.
Did you have a good one?
Yeah, it was good. Thanks.
Hmm?
Yeah, so a lot of family. It was good.
Yeah. I just came back to work 3 minutes before this hour started because I was at the hospital with my son for an X-ray.
No,
check. Yeah, he was out.
everything okay?
Yeah. He was out last week skiing and he fell. So he hurt his back a bit. So he needed to go to take an X-ray today.
I hope it's okay.
Yeah, he's at school as usual. It's just that he has a bit of pain, some ache. So, well, I guess the worst concern is that he might have a lot more ache when he's older, later on in his back. So, but they wanted to check it up, so we have it at least on paper, so we know what has happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah, I hope it gets better.
Yeah. So, I saw you prepared the agenda. I haven't looked at it yet, but
yes, let me.
we had the meeting last week with I think it was Ben and was it Robert as well?
I think so. It was
yeah.
in the attendees list.
Yeah, right. Robert. I thought he was there as well. Okay, yeah, correct. So we talked a bit about connected events. Not too much else. At least not that we noted.
Okay.
I think it was mostly about connected events. Ben had done some updates there to the document, just a few updates, and he said he should try to do some more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if he has now.
I don't know what's new, but there were some. There
He wrote
definitely is,
just a paragraph of use cases, I believe.
and there's
And yeah, and then we discussed this hybrid thing that Ben thinks would be a good way forward, some kind of hybrid approach. We didn't discuss that too much, but that's something he would like at least to evaluate if that would be an option for us. So having like both some kind of global ID and also the possibility to have links. And when we discussed global ID, we also discussed the parent-child relationships. So probably it should instead be a tuple of parent and child relationship or ID. Like a trace context, I guess, could be like that in OpenTelemetry. So that's something we discussed a little bit.
I was meant to add some more context about the trace ID in telemetry, but I didn't manage to yet.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know how to approach this now. We did write some, yeah, exactly, some action there that we should maybe look into. So we make sure that we cater for the use cases that are applicable for connecting events. So if we should try to reach out to the MLOps group, there is an MLOps SIG. I'm not sure how vivid that one is, but if they might have some thoughts on what would benefit the ML use cases when it comes to connected data. To ease their algorithms. I'm not sure we need to, I mean, that shouldn't really dictate exactly how we do things, but maybe we should at least have it as an input if we can abide to something that would help those use cases, it would be good, I guess. Just to be aware of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ben said he should flesh out that section a bit. Maybe he actually had done that. Since there was an example now, I don't think that example was there when we looked at it.
Yeah, so this might be new.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Ben is quite concerned about this downstream lookup. If there are only links, then it would be probably quicker to find all events if there's also global ID. And then maybe the links could be used to put them in order or see what has happened in parallel and so on. If we would have both. I'm a little bit concerned to have two ways to represent the same thing, more or less.
Yeah.
So I would like us to really understand if we really need a hybrid way, or if one of the other alternatives could fulfill all use cases, then it might be better to just have one way to do it.
Yeah, it can be problematic to have two. And
yeah, because then as a consumer, you need to be aware that, well, the producer could have either or maybe both.
Yeah, exactly.
And you need to handle it. Yeah, it could be some conflicts maybe in some cases. Maybe. Yeah, and I don't know if we talked about that last time. I added some example in the links section there on how the links could look like when it comes to CDEvents. Did you add anything to the workflow ID section there?
No.
Yeah.
I've seen you had some
Okay. Yeah.
examples.
I'm
right?
thinking about the also something we talked about, the difference between the workflow ID and the context ID, or the global ID, or what we should use the term there, trace context.
Mhm.
How they differ really. I think that should be expanded a bit so we understand it a bit more, because we couldn't really describe it to Robert and Fatih who were in the meeting. So maybe yes, the differences there could be fleshed out a bit in this document as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if there are examples, then showing where the different IDs would go in the event, then it might be easier to understand it as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's more or less about how far we came last time. I don't know if you saw as well that I moved the milestone for the 0.2 release until tomorrow, I believe it is now. But it will anyway not be
Yes.
feasible to release it by tomorrow. So that's maybe something we should try to settle on a valid milestone date. And also considering the CDCon that we talked about. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I should have it. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't looked at things in the past week. Obviously, because I was away, so I need to catch up a little bit on things.
Yeah, I did put some comments, by the way, on the incident events. I'm not sure if you've seen that either. So I did, and also on the testing events. So there are some comments in those PRs that you can look into.
Okay.
I think I had them quite late Friday before you left, so I totally understand that you didn't have time to look into that. It's about that.
Yeah, and I've seen that there is also a new revision of the RC for Spinnaker.
Yeah, we talked about that a bit as well. So Jalander has updated the RFC, or is it RFC? Yeah, RFC.
Yeah.
To their to what was needed, what was requested, and then Ben said it was an action on him and the other ones on the Spinnaker team there to review it. So he hoped that he could do it, if I understood correctly, last week even. And I guess the procedure then is when that is accepted, there will be a pull request created after that. But it seems now that they are agreeing on how it should be done on a system level, so to say, I guess.
Very odd comments.
There
Okay.
should just be a final review for it. Okay, it hasn't yet been reviewed since then. So I guess it's on Ben still then and others
Yeah.
to review it.
Yeah, it looks like that. Yeah.
But it sounded promising. So Ben was quite pleased when he mentioned it on that meeting.
Yeah. I think also that the meeting we had with the Spinnaker team was quite positive.
You were there as well, yeah.
Yes. I
Yeah.
joined, and
Yeah.
I mean I don't have the Spinnaker detailed knowledge to comment on how the architecture could look like, but at least I could make some comments from CDEvents point of view, and so yeah. But I think in general it was quite positive and promising. So
as I understood it, he had split the RFC or the coming PR maybe in two parts, one for the triggering and one for the publishing of events. And I think the focus first was for the triggering part.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Okay. So it will not be fully CDEvents compliant, of course, until both are somewhat implemented, but at least it's a start.
Yes, and I don't think we have defined yet what it means to be CDEvents compliant.
Yeah, right. We haven't documented that either, of course. Yeah, and of course, a end user system or something. I mean, they of course it doesn't need to send any events if it's just a consumer. And the other way around, for just something that just produces events, of course, it shouldn't consume them as well. But I guess Spinnaker could be the one of those that would do both. I think it does make sense to me at least.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think for the observability use case, everyone ideally every tool should send the event.
Yeah, at least every pipeline engine tool. I mean, probably not a visualization tool itself that is consumer shouldn't probably send any events, but
yeah, correct.
And then I also had some Slack chat with Eric about the Python SDK. Maybe we can add that to the notes here. I think we have had that before. He is, I'm not sure if you've heard, but he is changing jobs.
Oh, okay. No, I wasn't aware.
Yeah. And I asked if someone, because then he said also that now before he switches jobs, he will have very little time because he needs to finish up things to do this. But he will actually move to, he's currently a consultant for Volvo Cars, I think it is. But he will move to be employed by Volvo Cars. And as I understood it, he has gotten acceptance from his coming manager to spend time on open source development still. So hopefully he will be able to spend maybe more dedicated time to this when he has changed jobs. It sounded like that at least. Let's hope for that. But with that said, then I think that he will change jobs. Was it in May or something? So I'm afraid before that he might not be able to do too much about the Python SDK, and he might not be able to join too many of our meetings.
I see.
And then I also asked if there was someone else in his group or that has been involved in the Python SDK implementation, and he said that one person, but he had also already left that company, unfortunately, where he worked, so he was probably not available to work on it. So I don't think that we can, unless someone else takes it up, of course, and continues working on it, we shouldn't expect any major updates before like May, June, maybe even, I'm afraid. So that's a bit unfortunate.
Okay, yeah, it is. But let's see, maybe we can find. I mean, I guess the primary use case for the Python SDK that we had in mind was the integration with the 4Keys project.
Yeah, right. Isn't that the only one we have talked about so far for Python? I
So
think.
yes, I think so. So I guess
We can maybe look at the
give
tools roadmap that you created or the project in GitHub there. But I think it's the only one, right?
yes, that's the only one I'm aware of.
Yeah.
So I think right now, I mean, both Spinnaker and Jenkins are Java. And Tecton is Go. Jenkins is Go. So I guess those two are the well, TestCube is in Go as well. So
Yeah.
I guess those two are highest priority at this
The
point.
Java SDK is merged as far as I understood now. So the Java SDK should be maybe it's not finally done, but it should be implemented now by 0.1, as I understood.
Cool. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll need, I guess, to define some process by which we update those SDKs also when we make changes to the spec and new releases, new events, and so forth. So it's an ongoing work for those SDK that needs to be done, of course. But
Yeah, we
and
have
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the ticket about Rust SDK as well, because Persia is implemented in Rust, but I haven't heard anyone starting to look into that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I haven't either. I guess if we get to a point where we start starting a process to implement CDEvents for Persia, then we might be able to get some contribution from the team there, and maybe as they will be already knowledgeable about Rust, so maybe they might be interested in contributing the SDK. I mean, I'd be keen on learning Rust as well, but can't promise when that will happen.
Yeah. It sounds like an interesting language. I've heard of it for long now, but I've never tried it myself. So that's about the SDKs. Then what else was I thinking about? Yeah, I was attending the SIG supply chain meeting last week. And what is his name? Is it Brad or what is his name? He will join he planned at least to join the CDEvents meeting this afternoon to present or to discuss well, how would events fit into the software supply chain. So he accepted to come to our meeting today, I believe. Let's see if I added it to the agenda. I think I did. Brett Smith, is it? Yeah. Let me see.
Is he from Brett from SAS?
Yeah, SAS.
All right.
Let's see. Okay, there, Brett Smith. Okay, yeah. So I added it to the agenda for today, this afternoon, that he should come. So I hope that still he will be able to come to us. So we discussed that a little bit on that meeting, on the supply chain meeting, on events both for handling the artifacts or the attestations and signing the signatures and such things for that we should maybe add as properties into our artifact events or wherever they would fit. And then we also talked a bit about the bill of materials, SBOMs, how those would fit into CDEvents. That we should try to join forces instead of creating like contradicting or overlapping technologies.
Yeah.
So that was discussed there a bit.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's something we mentioned a few times, and so yeah, it's great to we get to discuss it.
Yeah,
I guess we have a with Eric also not being able to join on a regular basis. I guess we come to you myself and Ben for working on the spec. So
yeah,
I mean, if we can get more people getting involved on a regular basis, then we would be able to cover more.
I don't know if we should expect Ole. He isn't here today. I know he's located in Stockholm, I believe, and Stockholm has their winter vacations in schools this week.
Oh, okay.
So he might be off all this week, but he wasn't in any meetings last week either. So I'm not sure. Maybe he had a vacation last week. Can't say.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about that.
Okay. I don't know. Shall we then keep the meeting a bit shorter this morning? So
That's
we
fine.
maybe use the time to look at documents and
Yeah.
do
What
updates.
do you think about the timeline, by the way? Should we spend some thinking about when we think it's valuable to or possible to release it? I did write some when I reviewed the code, by the way, I pull request. I wrote a couple of I call them bug reports as well, issues, which I added to 0.2 release. There was like inconsistencies between documentation and spec a bit. Maybe something else as well. So it wasn't really aligned in the spec trip. But yeah, you can see them there. I think bugs. I added a bug type. So that one is more a alignment of URI, URL, URI reference thing. And the subject change field is not documented in artifact.
Okay.
So I think that's quite a small one. And the first one, I'm not sure how to handle it. Maybe that was something we actually missed when we restructured the CDEvents.dev site.
Yeah.
Because the ID
Probably.
fields there doesn't really, they don't make sense anymore.
They're not. Right.
So they're not there. So we need to look into how to update that to something.
Yeah. So this was part of the build script
Mm.
from the Netlify build script, I believe. If we go on the website, but because we changed so many things, the word Terry is done, so that's probably not working anymore for some reason. I need to look into it.
Yeah, and we might need to discuss how we want it to be, and then if it's possible to do it how we want it to be as well. I'm not sure if this would be need to back up on the solution for the CDEvents.dev due to this, because we anyway want this schemas published there somehow, but I don't know, because we don't have them there. Yeah, but let's look into it. If you just can consider it a bit, then we can talk about it. But there are quite a few issues left currently for 0.2, which are not done. I'm not sure if we actually really need to have all of them. The most important one, I guess, still is the incident event. But as you said there, if we anyway will not be able to do the implementation of LoRa metrics without the Python updates, if that's the case, then why rush it?
Well, I mean,
we could still start collecting data, of course. If we would add these event types and we would start sending them somewhere, we could start collecting the data and then maybe making the calculations afterwards. Yeah.
So I think it's, I mean, for the other metrics also today, we say we basically show that we can collect the data, but we're not making the calculation yet. So I think it still makes sense to have the incident events and say, well, we can provide the data to calculate the LoRa metrics, and even if they're not displayed through the 4 keys dashboard, I mean, we can have some other way of displaying them at the end.
Right, yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah, so I think, like we discussed already, I think it's probably good to reduce the scope. But I don't know that we need to necessarily do it up front. I mean, I would say if we like close the bugs and implement the incident events,
I think that's enough for a release.
That would be enough for a release, right?
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, I think so.
And we should probably update the SDKs for the incident events as well. But that's not blocking for the release itself, probably. But so let's keep.
I'm not sure that one should have been closed if the Java SDK is done, because that's in the Java SDK repo. Yeah, I'm not sure if that is mistaken.
I'll mark it.
Yeah,
in progress. At least it's probably just not aligned.
Maybe the pull request wasn't just linked here, but it should have been linked and then closing this one.
If I can get the
Yeah, no, why don't think we need to spend more time on this meeting now? So I guess to put some kind of deadline for ourselves, we should maybe have some idea on when we need to have the release, if we should still have 2 releases before CDCon. It's starting to feel that we might not be able to fit that. But,
yeah, indeed.
it depends a bit on what the focus for the next release then should be. If that should also be quite a kind of a small one, but with something important added to it.
Well, my hope for next step would be to, manage to get at least
a
first iteration of the connecting events, and some aspect of secure supply chain, like what we're going to discuss this afternoon. Announcing the artifact events with information about signatures and SBOMs and so forth. But yeah. Okay. If we did that, we would basically have the scope of what we initially planned for 0.2 into that 0.3. Let's see. Okay, so the milestone is defined in...
It's so hard to find the milestones in GitHub. Oh, there you can go.
Right. So I think we probably need to move it a bit further.
1 month, I guess. Or do you think we can have it earlier? 2 weeks? At least 2 weeks.
2 weeks or a month?
I'm afraid it could be 2 months, but do you think that you will have quite a lot of time or quite little time the coming weeks?
I will have time. I think I will have a bit more time, but
well, let's try 2 weeks and see see if we manage.
All right.
We said 30th of April for the next release after that, and that is just a few weeks before CDCon, or 1 week maybe before CDCon.
So that would be still a month and a half after the 0.2. Yeah. I guess, I mean, since we are progressing on kinetic event in parallel, so it still might be that we managed to do that.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay.
All right.
I guess that's it for today.
Yeah.
Since no one else showed up.
Talk to you later then, Emil.
Yep.
In the afternoon.
We will. Yeah. Take care.
Yeah, bye.